What's up guys? In my last video I talked about some of the tips that helped me transitioning into minimalism, and as promised today I'm going to talk about my own minimalism journey and the path that I took to get to where I am today. If you could see me 5 or 6 years ago, you would probably be very surprised because I was the exact opposite of a minimalist. I was super materialistic and I really bought into this whole idea that you can buy happiness and that the more you have and the more things you own, the happier you are, and that basically the key to happiness is getting everything you want. And back then my room was super cluttered, I had so much stuff, I never threw anything away and I kept hoarding everything. Like, I wasn't like a super messy kind of hoarder, but I had a lot of stuff, and if you opened any drawers there would be so much crap and it was really out of control. It wasn't until after I graduated from high school that I first experienced some of the benefits of living a more simple life with less stuff in my own life. After school, I did what every German does after school. I went to Australia to travel there for a year, and I started on this journey with a huge suitcase. I thought, I'm going there for a year, so I need a lot of stuff, and I bought the biggest suitcase I could find and just put everything in there, everything I could possibly need, and pretty much my entire wardrobe, and it really weighed me down. And I realized that pretty early on, when I arrived in Australia, that it made traveling very difficult. So I stored the suitcase and instead bought a small backpack and just put some essentials in there and started traveling the country with the backpack. And it was so much better. I was so much lighter on my feet and it was so much easier to get around, and it really enhanced the quality of this trip a lot. And even though I now had very few things on me, I had a really great time and it was a very happy time for me. But when I returned home, I quickly forgot this lesson because I went to law school and I quickly started to get back into this old habit of wanting to have more things, especially in law school where I was surrounded by a lot of quite wealthy people. I felt a strong need to keep up with them and to fit in, and everybody else had all these nice things. So of course I thought I need all these nice things too. So I bought a lot of things that I didn't really need, and I bought a lot of things that I couldn't really afford just so I fit in and impress the people around me. Though of course nobody was impressed by it, like nobody really cares what kind of stuff you have. It's all in your head really. But I really thought that it's important for me to keep up with those around me. And around that time I heard about minimalism for the first time. It was actually in a YouTube video. It was a video by a digital nomad, so it was a guy who only owned the things that fit in his backpack and who traveled the world and traveled full-time working on the road. And keep in mind that that was like 5 years ago, so that was before Mediavella and before all the minimalism YouTubers came along, and back then minimalism was really a niche topic on YouTube, and the YouTubers that talked about minimalism were pretty extreme guys like this digital nomad or like very hippie-ish kind of people who live in RVs. But I found these people very inspiring because even though they had very little things, they seemed incredibly happy, and in fact they seemed to be a lot happier than all the people I knew in my life, and also a lot happier than the kind of people that I aspire to be like. And they talked about things like that possessions don't buy happiness and that you won't become happy by acquiring more things, but that what makes you happy are actually experiences and relationships and living a meaningful life. And I could really relate to this idea because my entire life I had followed this idea that I had to pursue things and acquire more stuff so I can be happy, but I wasn't happy. So I noticed that what I had been doing so far didn't really work, and when I thought back on the happiest moments of my life, it wasn't moments where I bought things or had expensive things. It was moments where I was with people I really liked and had great experiences. Around that time I also came across a Seneca quote that I really liked. It goes something along the lines of, "It is not he who has little who is poor, but he who wants more." And that really resonated with me, and I was really sold on this whole idea of minimalism, on owning less stuff so you can pursue things that are more meaningful to you. But all the examples of minimalism I had seen so far were so far removed from my own lifestyle. It was all those very extreme kind of counterculture guys that I couldn't really relate to, and I couldn't really make the connection of how I can get from where I am now to where they are, because it was just so different. And then I stumbled across a book called The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up by Marie Kondo, and this book really allowed me to make this connection. So I read this book and I really loved it, and immediately tried to put it into practice and started decluttering. So I did the whole KonMari method thing and put all my possessions, everything I owned, on one big pile, and I was shocked by how much stuff I really had. I knew I had a lot of stuff, but I didn't know that I had that much stuff. And I really got rid of probably 70% of everything I owned. There was still quite a bit left, but it was a huge difference. And then I also tried different decluttering techniques like the 30-day minimalism game by the minimalists. And I also went through a couple of more rounds of decluttering with the KonMari technique. And so the number of my possessions grew smaller and smaller and smaller, and it's still getting smaller to this day. And something else that I started doing was to experiment. I tried to really understand what I really need and what is really essential to me, so I always made these small experiments. So for example, I tried to travel with a carry-on backpack only, even if it's a long trip. I also started wearing a personal uniform, so I started wearing black t-shirts every day, and that really simplified my life a lot. I also sold my TV, and I deleted a lot of apps from my phone, so all the social media apps that were distracting me and that were wasting a lot of time. And so bit by bit, I started to learn more and understand what's really essential to me. And I also started to understand how the things that I thought were essential to me were really distractions that were not adding much value to my life. And by doing these small experiments, I was able to remove a lot of this clutter and these distractions from my life and make room for things that are very meaningful to me, like my relationships and experiences, and contributing to my community and to the planet. And I really started to get to know myself better. And I'm someone who really loves to learn new things and to grow as a person. And I started learning about other things, about things like finance and psychology and about the environment. Around that time, I also started to learn more about how my actions affect the environment. I watched, for example, documentaries like Cowspiracy or The True Cost or The Story of Stuff. And all these documentaries really helped me to understand how I am affecting the planet with my daily choices. And so environmentalism became a bigger aspect of minimalism for me in my own life. I also started to learn about psychology and about the science of happiness. And I really realized how irrational it is to pursue happiness in things and in acquiring stuff and wealth. Because what I learned from these books was that our material life circumstances have a very small impact on our psychological well-being, and that we are affected a lot more by the small things we do every day. And that things like exercising or socializing or contributing actually make a very big impact to our well-being that far exceeds anything that we could wish for from pursuing material wealth. And the more I learned about these things, the more I understood that minimalism is really a lot more than just this countercultural trend. It's really a holistic lifestyle that affects every aspect of your life, and that can really improve your life. When I first decluttered my stuff, I thought that it would kind of be a one-time thing. I declutter my stuff and then I'm a minimalist, and then that's it, then I'm done. But that's not the case at all. It really is a process, and you always learn new things, you experiment, you get to know yourself better, and you're really growing as a person. So minimalism is really not a destination, but it's a process. And that's what I want to leave you with today. I hope you found this video interesting. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you got something out of it and maybe learned something. If you did, please like this video. It really helps my channel a lot. And tell me about your own minimalism journeys in the comments below. I'm really interested in that. And if you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to this channel. And I see you guys, if you want, in my next video.